provide us with some fairly compelling case as to why you want to own and ought to own this type of firearm. We will require that you do own a gun safe. Your security will have to be enhanced, so it became immediately quite an expensive exercise. All that happened was that people who had unregistered or military-style semi-automatics that had not been accounted for, and the system started dumping on the black market because they knew the prices were going to collapse. A lot of guys didn't have a huge amount of money, but they had a nice SLR. They would flick it to somebody who perhaps didn't have a firearms license, rather than take the punch and have to hand the rifle in for destruction if they couldn't get a gun safe. At the time, I couldn't because I was a student. I was moving around a lot and I couldn't take a safe with me, so I had to surrender my rifle. But a lot of guys didn't. They quietly dropped them on the black market. So much for fucking good intentions on the part of the ban the gun people. All they did was implement a policy which saw probably thousands of military-style semi-automatics dumped onto the black market. And they're still turning up to this day. There's a lot around. So legislation, litigation, just doesn't work. We're still kicking around the idea of a national gun register. Our leading newspaper, the Herald, called for the establishment of a gun register as a solution to gun crime. Just, insane and crazy, but nonetheless that's what they called for. Fortunately, our police forces had an opportunity to have a look at what the Canadians had been through. This exercise in futility, expensive, bureaucratic, totally ineffective attempt to register all the firearms in Canada. They're looking at that thinking, it doesn't work, it cost a small bloody fortune, and it's going to constitute a huge allocation of scarce police resource to an ineffective outcome. So they've been resisting it. How much longer that'll go on for, I don't know, but at this stage we still do not have a register of things other than firearms, semi-automatics and collectible weapons. Okay, so that's the A category. Just while I'm on the topic, I've got this Glock. I've decided to sell my Glock. I'll just tell a little story which illustrates how the law works here. I purchased this Glock because at the time, 4 or 5 years ago, I was very keen on joining the police. I'd retired, wealthy enough to retire, I was still young enough to do something useful, and I thought I always wanted to be a cop. Really enjoyed my time in the army, I'd like to join the police. So I made an application, went through the 1001 hoops, had to wait for 1.5 years because my driving licence had a couple of demerit points on it, because I drove a Ferrari at the time and I got a couple of speeding tickets. Went through the whole exercise and was at a point where they basically said, yeah, we're going to take you. And then I did something stupid. I had got my collector's licence and I bought my first submachine gun, the Sten gun. I took it out in the boat and I fired it off the back of the boat, about 20 miles offshore. Nobody saw me, nobody heard anything. It wouldn't have been a problem, but for the fact that I put it on YouTube. The police found out, they saw me firing a submachine gun off the back of the boat, which is illegal. You're not allowed to fire C category weapons, which I'll talk to in a second, and also I had transported it in violation of the Arms Act. C category weapons, I know I'm getting myself a wee bit ahead of myself here, but you're allowed to have them and take them to a gunsmith or an auction house for sale, and that's about it. You're not allowed just to carry them around willy-nilly. They have to be kept securely locked up. So I'd done two things. I had transported it for purposes other than that they were lawful, and I'd fired the thing. We'll talk about this because this is the penalty regime. The police said, well, firstly, we're not going to accept your application to join the New Zealand Police because you violated the Arms Act. Secondly, my arms officer had one of 3 options. He could revoke my licences, which he wasn't keen to do because he knew I was a genuine, legitimate collector who just had done something stupid but was not dangerous, wasn't irresponsible. I was technically in breach. The second option, other than revocation, is a formal warning, a written warning. This is when you've done something illegal. They say it's not serious enough to take his licence, but we're going to record it formally that he's done it, and we'll stipulate that if another breach is committed, that you will lose your licence. He didn't think it was serious enough to do that either, so he went for the third option, which is a verbal warning. This is where they sit you down and say, you bloody idiot, slap, don't do it again. And that's what I got. I got a formal warning. And I think also they felt that the punishment of not being able to get into the police after all the drama was sufficiently serious to mean that nothing else was necessary. So that's why I bought the Glock. I'm selling it because I don't like it. Glocks are wonderful handguns, they're beautifully reliable, everything that people talk about, the Glock characteristics are absolutely true, I just don't like it. It's a wonderful point and shoot, but I don't find it particularly accurate, I guess mainly because of the sights. It doesn't move me, so it's just cluttering up the man cave and I'm going to sell it. Okay, so we've done the A category firearms license, we've touched on the semi-automatic, which is the E category. More vetting, more referees, enhanced security, and the firearms themselves will be registered. The next category license is the C category, or the collector's license, which is what I have. That enables me to own pretty much what I want. Submachine guns, machine guns, flamethrowers, bazookas, mortars, artillery pieces. You can have pretty much anything that you want. However, you're not allowed to shoot them. If it's on a C ticket, you're not allowed to shoot them. There are 3,000 collector's licenses available. I don't know how many have been issued, but once that 3,000 ceiling is met, then no more will be issued by the police force. They've done that to try and keep a lid on the number of people who have access to the desire to purchase collectible restricted weapons, and just kind of keep a lid on the numbers of firearms that might be brought into the country. You have to go through the whole process again. You have to reapply to the police. You have to demonstrate that you have a legitimate interest in whatever restricted type of firearm is that you want to collect. And that means you have to provide them with evidence that you've had magazine subscriptions to firearms magazines, you've got a library that has a lot of books, DVD library where you're dealing with that period of history or that type of firearm. They will re-interview another 2 referees, they'll re-interview your family, and the requirements as far as security is concerned go up substantially. You must have gun safes, and effectively you've got to have a strong room. A strong room built to certain specifications. Controlled entry, thick steel doors, steel lined, basically designed to prevent people from just smashing down the door or taking a jackhammer and busting through the walls. It's quite strict and it's quite expensive. They do the whole vetting process again, and again, assuming that you're successful, you'll then get your collector's ticket. Didn't mention with the handguns, I don't think, that if you have a handgun license, you are permitted 12 handguns which can be fired. You can shoot 12. You're not allowed any more than that. If you wish to own more, you need a collector's license. Every handgun above the 12 ceiling goes on a collector's ticket. And as I mentioned, collector's weapons cannot be fired. That also covers these little shorty pistols, the pocket pistols, the 32 type dimension pistols. The police have restricted this type of firearm. It's got dimensions which lend itself to concealed carry, and that's why they want to put a cap on the demand for this type of handgun. We're not allowed to conceal carry in this country or do any kind of carry. If you get caught with a pistol on you, are going to jail. So they've tried to find a way of suppressing the demand in the market for this type of pistol, similarly this sort of pocket pistol. Like I say, you can have them, but it goes on a C ticket and you're not allowed to shoot them. Okay, so we've done the collectors, we've done the military style semi-automatic, we've done the A category. The next one is dealer's category, and the only reason you get a dealer's license is you're involved in commercial trading. It also expedites some of the paperwork, not by a huge amount, but it just makes it a little bit easier when you're dealing with customs and the police if you have a dealer's license. Those are renewed every 12 months. It costs you money to have them, and as I say, really it's there to expedite purchasing and importation. Perhaps I didn't mention, if I wish to bring in a military style semi-automatic, for example, I wanted to buy an FN Scar Heavy, I would make the application to the police to import. They would give me the documentation, which I would then send on to customs. Within 12 months of that new military style semi-automatic coming into the country, I have to surrender an equivalent category firearm for destruction. This is designed to keep a lid, supposedly a finite and consistent number of MSSAs in the country. A lot of the SKS carbines, of which there were thousands, they're all sort of dried up because people have been buying them $200 or $300 gun cheaply as a hand-in for destruction.